flower is a beautiful thing. It grows to the quiver of a fife.
Wow. It's just always great to be here. And, sitting there, I, realized how emotional I'm feeling right now. Because, thank you. Don't line up there. Okay, thank you. Mainly because I realized that I've been reflecting on the fact that I'm going to be turning 50 in a couple of days, and what that really means, and it just hit me just not too long ago. Just sitting there, how emotional that really is, and just knowing everything that I've been through in my life. So it's just like, wow, man. Amazing, amazing things. But hello to everyone here. Hello to everyone who's on ACIM Gather, and for the ones who are looking through this through live stream, and for those the ones who are going to be listening to this YouTube as well. So it's a beautiful thing. And so when I realized that I wanted to talk today, I sent Reverend Tony a message asking if I can talk today, and he's like, yes, it's available regarding that. But also, I didn't realize that by talking today, this actually has been our year anniversary since we've been in this space here at my office building. So I did not realize until Reverend Tony mentioned that, and so that's even more of a special thing that we're here for a year. I get a chance to speak again on the anniversary of us being here at my office. And I was telling Reverend Alicia, I'm here, I guess, 6 days a week now in this building. That's a lot. And must be that I really love this building. But then also, I was, thinking, I always turn it over to the Spirit, like, okay, I want to talk because I'm going to be turning 50, but what is it specifically that I want to talk about? And the thing that kept coming up for me is just, reflection. Just to take the time to reflect, how my life been through all these years, and I'm like, well, that's a lot of years to think about when you think about it. But that's what I felt, guided, and then it made me realize also the reason why I think it's important sometimes for us to take time to reflect. At least for me, it slows me down. It allows me to really just take the time and not feel rushed, and to really, pay attention to the things that have happened in our lives, and to just to realize how much each and every one of us have evolved and have changed over the years. We may not realize that at times because we tend to go back to our old state of mind when we're in deep sense of maybe feeling down, depressed, or whatever it is. We tend to go back to the old things. But when we take the moment and just really realize, like, there has been differences in my life. I have changed. I have seen things a lot differently than I used to. I handle things a lot more than I used to, before we came into this world. And so, it was very refreshing for me to be able to do that, to just take the time to, reflect, upon that. And it also gave me a chance to reflect, even before I got involved with the Course in Miracles, of how much I had a deep sense of spirituality already in me. And who would have known that in my mind that actually prepared me to, come to the Course. Because it was already, I was like, oh wow, man, when I think about it, all these different things that happened to me in my life just prepared for me to be ready for, a spiritual practice that has made such a huge difference in my life in more ways that I cannot even imagine what I would do if I didn't have it in my life right now regarding that. And so then Course tells us this: miracles demonstrate that learning has occurred under the right guidance, for learning is invisible, and what has been learned can be recognized only by its results. And the thing that came up for me when I chose that quote, it made me reflect about growing up. And as some of you guys know, I grew up in Southern California. That's actually my hometown. And so it made me think and made me just reflect upon what's everything that happened to me in my life during that time period. And then one of the things that kept coming up for me and was an incident that happened with my grandmother, my mom, and it was a incident where growing up, my grandmother and my grandfather lived right next to us, and we had my cousins and uncles and just lived right around the corner, from us. So that's how close our family was. So we were very close to each other. You can walk to each other's house at any time. That's just the way that we were brought up, and it felt really good. But then my grandmother, I remember one day one of my cousins got sick. They got really, really sick, and so we went to my grandmother's house, and then she was going to put some vaporizer on her and do whatever she needs to do to make them feel better. But she also was going to do a prayer. And then me being very young, I think 7 or 8, I was being a little brat, just kept getting into little troubles and kept like not, paying attention while she was trying to do something to, heal my cousin. And then my grandmother, like she does, got very upset and got stern with me and told me I needed to stop it, otherwise I'm going to get into a trouble. And that's how I was going to get a whooping if I didn't stop. If I didn't stop, behaving. And so I did. So I calmed down and I stopped. And like, okay, I need to, pay more attention to what's going on. And so then I realized what she did. Besides putting the vaporizer on my cousin, she did this incredible, beautiful healing prayer. And then before you knew it, my cousin was just like, had the energy, felt much better, and it happened so quickly. And I'm thinking, how in the heck could something shift and change that quickly? And then that was the first time that I realized how powerful prayer really can be. My grandmother already believed it. She knew, and to be able to see that, to be able to witness that at such a young age, it still resonated with me. And I didn't realize that until I started reflecting upon it, how that moment still stays with me. And that was the moment where I realized, wow, maybe there is something about God. Maybe there is something about spirit, how important it is for us to rely on it and to be able to have it, with us. And so it was just like a remarkable experience for me to be able to see that and to be able to hold on to that. But then yet, as we know in this world, when things seem to be going well, things seem not to go so well. It's just the way this life is. It loves bringing challenges, into our lives and into our, world. Which, same thing that happened, with me. But the thing that it reminds me of is this quote: "You will recognize that you have learned there is no order of difficulty in miracles when you have applied them to all situations. There is no situation in which miracles do not apply. And by applying them to all situations, you will gain the real world. By applying them to all situations." In our minds, we think those situations are when things are good that happen in our lives. That's when the miracle comes. That's when we shift and have our perceptions, and so that's what we pay attention to. But then it made me realize, no, it's in all situations. So even those situations where we feel that things are not going well in our lives can be miracles. It all is how we actually look at it and how we perceive it. And for me, it made me think about it from I think the age of 10 until probably like 18 or 19 when I decided to move to San Francisco. There had been a lot that happened in my life. I experienced at a young age of a lot of death. My grandfather passed away when I was ready to graduate from the 6th grade. My grandmother passed away when I was ready to graduate from the 8th grade. My aunt passed away when I was ready to graduate from the 12th grade. My uncles been in and out of jail. We experienced our neighborhood changing from a really nice neighborhood to a lot of drugs, to a lot of gangs. So all these things were, happening. And especially the incident with my uncle who was, in jail, specifically because it was the time when I realized no matter what our justice system is like, they want someone to be guilty, they will. Because my uncle was accused of a crime that he didn't commit. And the reason why we knew it was because at the time that the crime happened, he was with me. And yet, it did not matter. They had already made up their mind of what was going to, happen, with him. And so all these things, throughout my teenage years, was happening. And then I realized, okay, Holy Spirit, okay, God, I saw miraculously the prayer we can do, but yet you're bringing all these challenges into my life and into my family life, and how do you go about that? But then the thing is that I remember, that I realize as I reflect upon it, each one of those situations, each one of those experiences is supposed to happen. It's supposed to happen because it was setting the path of my life. It was letting me know to understand that no matter what difficulties it is, I'm going to be able to get past it. I'm going to be able to rely and trust that I'm going to be able to move forward no matter what. So although those situations appears to be daunting, hurtful, and a lot of pain, but in reality, it was supposed to happen for me. At that time, of course, I didn't see it that way, but now as I reflect upon it, I see that was the path, that it was supposed to be happening that way. Because of that, it allowed me to re-examine, to look at myself on a more deeper level, and to take those experiences and use those experiences in a healthy way, in a loving way, in a healing way. And that's the beauty that I realized regarding that aspect of it. And then the Course says this, for in this holy perception, you will be made whole, and the atonement will radiate from your acceptance of it for yourself to everyone the Holy Spirit sends you for your blessing. For me, the thing that came up for me when I reflected upon that is with everything that was going on in my life at that time, God already had planned for me in the fact of my sexuality. For some reason, I think God knew that that would be the thing to get me out of a situation that I could have been in at any time of discovering if I was gay or not. Of course, as we all know, I am. But at that time, I was not aware of that, and I did not know that. And that's the blessing, that's the gift that God gave me. To realize, okay, listen, there is something about you that you can use, that you can embrace, that you can accept. And because of that, it gave me the strength to be able to leave Southern California to come to Northern California. But before that happened, there was a couple of moments that I remember that I was very appreciative of, that I didn't realize then. I went to go see a counselor, and I told the counselor that I was struggling with my sexuality, I wasn't sure. And what the counselor said, the only way you're going to be able to figure that out is if you date someone of your same gender. Who would have thought that? A lot of people never experienced that before. And I'm aware of that. They were told differently from their counselors. But no, for some reason, this counselor is like, no, you need to go out and date, and that's how you will find out if you were or not. That was a gift. And then the other gift that I had was, someone who I did wind up, dating. They were older than I am. I'm going to acknowledge that. They had a little more experience than me, but I was legal then. And then they told me, for them, that they were like, whatever it is, you need to live your life, and don't do what I did, living a double life. Because for them, they lived a double life their whole life. And they encouraged me not to be able to do that. I'm like, wow, what amazing gifts that I got at such precious ages, regarding that aspect of it. And so then I was guided to come to San Francisco. Originally, I thought about going to San Diego with my best friend, but something deep inside in my inner core, my inner voice was like telling me that I need to come to San Francisco. This is where I belong. This is where I'm supposed to be at. And so this is where I came. As long as you believe you have two functions, so little will you need correction. For this belief is the destruction of peace, a goal in direct opposition to the Holy Spirit's purpose. My function, my purpose was to come to San Francisco, to allow myself to evolve in a way that I never thought possible. To allow myself not only to come to terms with my sexuality, but actually allow me to come to terms with my own racial identity. That was the reason and the function that I was given. That function was from the Holy Spirit, not from my ego. And to realize that and to appreciate that is a remarkable, beautiful experience to be able to go to and be able to live. You see what you expect, and you expect what you invite. I was determined to make sure that my path was a path that was a purpose of love, a purpose of healing, a purpose of just giving back, not only to myself, but to everyone who I interact with. I wasn't sure what form that was going to come in, but it came in through the course. Even though pre-course I already felt like I had, spiritual thing, but it was a course that actually brought me to another level. And this course would have never happened if it wasn't for Reverend Peter, who introduced me to it. He's the one who brought the course into my life. He's the one who introduced me to the Community Miracle Center. And to have this beautiful, amazing family at the Community Miracle Center is remarkable. It has allowed me to appreciate not only myself, but everyone who I come in contact with. When you want love,
I'm part of that.
I know, yes you are. When you want love, you will see nothing else. The beauty is, love is already in each and every one of us. And we forget that. And for me, it was good to reflect upon of all the love I actually have in my life. With my brothers, with my sisters, with my 20,000 or something nephews and nieces and grandnephews and nieces. It's a lot of them. The love of my, softball family, the love of people at my work. It's just the love of all my friends. And of course, the love of all the incredible relationships that I had, in my life, of what they brought to me, that I will always cherish and appreciate and will always be a part of me, because of that. Love is recognized by his messengers. So each situation, each person, each thing in our lives are our messengers of love. The thing is I need to accept that, appreciate it, and enjoy every moment of it. Because we, each and every one of us, deserve that. We may forget that at times, but just think about it. Look where you are now in your life. You got there because you genuinely do love yourself, and you love the people around you, and you appreciate them in more ways than you may even realize. That's what I realize, and that's what I cherish, and that's what I appreciate. Understanding and recognizing, even though throughout my childhood there was a lot going on, but understanding that it's okay. I could have easily succumbed to the things that were happening in my neighborhood. I could have easily went down a different path. But there was an inner strength that was in me that made me realize, no, Vincent, you deserve more than that. You are more than that. And for some strange reason, I listened to it. I allowed myself to see what things can be like. I didn't think I was going to make it past 18 in my neighborhood because of all the drugs and the gangs. I didn't think I was going to get to even 30 coming to San Francisco and realizing how much HIV and AIDS impacted our community. I definitely did not realize that I was going to be able to make it to 50 in a society of the way that they treat black people. Who would have thought that? God, Spirit knew that. They knew that there was more for me in this life to give in a loving and in a healing way. The power of decision is your one remaining freedom as a prisoner of this world. You can decide to see it right. we decide, we see things right. We see things from the place of healing, from the place of love. And for me, I am going to cherish and love every minute of the fact of turning 50 because I earned it, I deserve it, and I'm going to love it. And that's my talk.
A flower is a beautiful thing. It grows to the quiver of a fife that sings. I can take it with the wave of my hand and place it upon my music stand.